We work hard so you can get hard. That's a lot.
Woo! I'm sure that was consensual.
It was fucking Carl! Teams that should blow each other up. Just blow themselves up. Just blow each other up. Anyway. These teams
that should blow each other.
Yeah, teams that should blow each other. We have our favorite couples. These are teams that we just think they're going to be stuck in mediocrity. They've tried for so long, they got to blow it up. I mean, the Magic were in the playoffs for like 3 years and they blew it up and that was their peak. And they knew it. I think they pulled the trigger at the right time. What teams do you think is just about time? Just do it. Just trade them. Start drafting. It didn't work out. Who are you thinking?
Well, I think an obvious one is the Washington Wizards. I think, they've got Beal, who they just locked into another supermax. That's just going to take him into his twilight years. And really, outside of that, they have nothing really. I mean, they've got some okay players, but nothing that really, polarizes me. Like, I simply don't give a damn about Kristaps Porzingis at this point. Their new point guard, I liked him in Denver, Morris, but I don't think he's going to be anything more than a top, like a 15 or the 14th best point guard in this league. I think that's cool and all, but they really don't have enough around their team for it to be interesting. And they haven't had enough top picks. Like the last time they did something worth a damn in the NBA is when they had young John Wall and young Bradley Beal, who were their top draft picks. And I'll let you comment on that in a sec. But the one other team I want to mention is another East team who, had some high expectations coming into this year, but due to one of their players making, terrible decision, they are handcuffed now, and they should, maybe consider tanking. And that's the Charlotte Hornets because, of what Miles Bridges has done to that team, set them back. And they just really don't have a whole lot outside of LaMelo to build around, where if they could get a top pick in this draft, blow it up for one season, they could, really do themselves some favors in the long run. Whereas if you just kind of stick with what you got, I think LaMelo is probably gone in a few years.
Yeah, that's decent. Wizards, I'm not going to beat the dead horse. We constantly talk about how they should just kill this, not kill the franchise, kill the roster they have, trade away Porzingis or let Porzingis go, trade away Beal, probably Kuzma too. Build off see what you can do with Hachimura and Advia and Kispert. They're decent pieces. They're not going to do too much for you. I like Morris. Whatever. Bradley Beal has basically said on JJ's Reddit that he knew that he could sign with other teams. He just says it's really hard to win. I'm like, to me, I just heard I'm okay with losing. He's like, I make $50 million. I don't give a fuck about winning anymore. I was like, that's what I heard. Yeah. But if you guys heard anything different, yell at me. But I won't beat up the Wizards again. Hornets, that's interesting. I do think that roster would, if they were able to pull off, get really low and compete for the Victor Wembanyama lottery, I think Victor and LaMelo could be one of the great duos that we talk about for a long time. I think that would be perfect for them. However, I don't know if that's possible. I doubt they'll tank. I think they're still going to try to be competitive because Michael Jordan.
I mean, realistically, I think they'll probably be too good to be in that position. But I think it would be a great idea to tank for at least a season.
Yeah, it would. It would. And there's they could probably offload like Rozier somewhere. I'm sure there's a market for him. And if LaMelo does get injured, and then Gordon Hayward, you might have to ride out his contract. But I can see some teams being into it. We'll see.
For sure.
One team I said was the Blazers. They've made a lot of offseason moves. I think their team has gotten better. But the best I think this team can do is still like a 5th seed in this West. I don't think
the West is really strong.
Exactly. Like I think they might be able to get into the second round. I don't see them getting into the conference finals, even fully healthy. I just don't see it on this team.
It's going to take a lot from Damian Lillard. I mean, I just haven't seen something from him that in a couple of years that makes me think they're going to go that deep in the playoffs. I do love the Jeremy Grant edition. I think that's going to be a bigger impact than a lot of people are talking about. Yeah. And outside of that, I mean, I like their draft pick too, Shaden Sharp. I think that's a potentially great player. So, we'll see what happens. I think they've got like a 3-4 year window, and I don't know after that. I mean, they don't realistically have like as much talent as a lot of the teams in the West, but there's a lot of teams, including themselves, who have injury-prone players, so anything can realistically happen as well. So I can applaud them for putting their chips in and at least trying. And who knows?
Well, they got
we'll see what we get.
Yeah, they have to try. Dame wants to stay. They're gonna do whatever they can to have him stay. I do think I give them a max 2 years before because I do think they might be wasting some development with Josh Hart, Anthony Simons, and certainly Shaden Sharp. We're just trying to win.
Whatever about Josh Hart's development. I mean, Anthony Simons is starting. I'm not worried about him. I think
he's not as
fine.
Yeah, he has developed just fine. Yeah, I'm just saying, I don't think this run's gonna go anywhere. And then by the time they rebuild, where's Anthony Simons? Probably wants to leave and go somewhere else. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. I do think Josh Hart.
But then you're in decent position for a rebuild, because if you could trade one of those guys at some point, then you can do that. Or maybe Anthony Simons gets good enough and he's the leader of this team in a few years.
Yeah, over Dame, I doubt. I doubt that. But Josh Hart is a solid player. I do think he could be a never an all. I think he could have all-star type like numbers. I think he could get close to 18, 19 points per game. But I mean, he already scores like 15 points a game. But I really like him too. He's an on-ball defender.
A fine player. I'm not worried about unlocking him. I think he provides a great role for the team, but I don't want him in like in a starting position.
Oh really?
Maybe.
I think he's a starter in this league. I think he's a good starter as a 2 or 3 guard. I think that's fine. He's a great on-ball defender. He's a good shooter too. He's like,
that's true.
I think he's a better KCP, and KCP can start on a lot of teams.
That's fair.
The last team, I think it's just the Knicks. Listen, like they've kicked this town down the road. Their rebuild was RJ Barrett. they got him. They're like, let's go, let's load up, free agents, come on. And then they got Julius Randle. I mean, they didn't develop him at all, and we're seeing that struggle, how it's taken so long, because it's just he's having to compete at a high level automatically. RJ Barrett, and I think it would have helped him to have that slower start, that slower build. You see, where all these things that were chastising for shooting, all this stuff, he could have had time, less pressure to work on them. It's the pressure on the player rather than they're like, oh, well, we wanted to be good, so we have to be good, and this is your like 4th season in the NBA, or third or 4th. I think
he's looking pretty solid. I mean, he just got a $30 million a year extension. They clearly believe in him, and I actually will disagree with you on this. I think the Knicks are doing a good job at not blowing it up, and bringing in Jalen Brunson, I think, is a smart choice. He just looked really solid in the preseason game. I know, just preseason, but I think like he's going to help be the glue guy for a lot of these players, and hopefully help that development of RJ Barrett, who's only in his 4th year. I think there's still plenty of time to develop. He's still very young, and I think he can help some of these other younger guys develop as well.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Jalen Brunson signing, but it's the same thing as the Portland Trailblazers. I don't see them getting far in the playoffs whatsoever. I think they've improved. I think they've gotten better. I just don't see them getting better. Granted, they're the Knicks. They could pull in a great free agent, which is always possible, but I think they should learn their lesson and stop trying to rely on pulling in a free agent like that. I mean,
but
I think
at this point, I think they're tired of being terrible. They were in the lottery for years, and they never, ever would get the number 1 pick or the number 2. It's just like, wasn't happening.
They had to bribe somebody to get Patrick Ewing. Conspiracy theories on YouTube. You gotta look it up. But no, I mean, but they rushed. They were like, oh, we got Kemba, didn't work out. Fournier didn't work out. Taj Gibson, Randall hasn't worked out. He's worked out for 1 year. Well, he's up in the air. Rose has been a good player. But they draft these guys like Toppin, Reddish. I mean, they didn't draft Reddish, but quickly. I think they need a more of a chance. Like, Reddish was a project when he came into the league. I think he's still a good asset to have. I think you can get more out of him, but now he's just not getting played.
Like, you know why they're not getting developed. It's Tom Thibodeau uses an 8-man rotation.
And
He doesn't change that. So like it it doesn't really make sense to hold on to draft picks if you're gonna have Tom Thibodeau as your coach, in my opinion. It doesn't make sense to trade for young players like Cam Reddish either. Like they traded a first-round pick for him. It doesn't really make sense because if you don't crack Tom's top 8, you're not playing at all.
unless it's trash time, or somebody really got injured.
Unless somebody gets injured, then all of a sudden you become part of the top 8 and you get a ton of minutes. I mean, when he was coaching the Timberwolves, he had Zach LaVine as a starter, and Zach LaVine tore his ACL. And so he inserted Brandon Rush into the starting lineup, a guy who was playing 0 minutes prior to this. And then he just put him in the same minutes that LaVine was getting. Like he was playing Brandon Rush for like 36 minutes a game all of a sudden. Yeah. It was like, I don't see the logic there. And it was like Brandon Rush in like his last year or two in the NBA.
Yeah, we've talked. Thibodeau has to go. I just don't think this franchise is ready. The franchise is ready. Certainly, some of the players can be, and the parts of the roster are fine. I just think it would have helped RJ better if they didn't just pull in all these vets right away. If they would have gave him time, less pressure, better environment to figure out his play rather than get figured out right now.
Who's in the way of RJ Barrett?
Who was in the way of RJ Barrett?
Do you think Julius Randle's in the way of him?
Thibodeau. Thibodeau's not good at developing
players.
Like
you're saying like players, like they've brought in guys that have then gained playing time over RJ Barrett. So I don't really understand what guys you're talking about.
Not playing time over him. He didn't have they're like, now they're telling him you got to run the offense just because other things didn't work out. Who's the point guard that they signed that just who's the big? It was a decent deal. They signed him when they got Randall. They're like, oh, this is what we got. Can't think of
Derrick Rose.
No, they traded for him. That was different. I can't think of it right now. I just think they should. I think it's time.
Kemba.
Hold everyone but him. Yeah, well, Kemba came a little bit after. That was last year. But the year before, I can't think of who it was. If you guys could think of it, comment. Let us know. But I thought the Knicks should blow it out. I know they're bad. So many teams the Magic were bad and they were good for 2 years. Then they blew it back up. I mean, and look what they have now. They have a really nice young core and nothing but promise. So maybe they'll end up. But who do you guys think should blow up the team next? Don't count the Wizards. We all know they should blow up. That's just beating a dead horse. Anybody but the Wizards. Comment below. Let us know.
The Orlando Magic should blow it up again.
All right.
Fake Paolo Banchero.
I don't know what else to blow up. Like, what do you expect to get back? But hey guys, only balls, only all the time. Like and subscribe to the video. We want to keep making videos for you guys. Tell us what you want us to hear. Wait, yeah.